Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of My Life in Objects. So this episode we're going to look at this, which is the Judas Priest Metalogy box set. It's an interesting compilation set and we'll see why in a moment. So this came out sometime around 2004. It was in a period where I was sort of just randomly infilling with my sort of Judas Priest memorabilia and albums and various other things. Sometime before that, I think around, well, it would have been around 2001 when it came out, I did buy that rather nice box which came with 4 of 12 CDs. So it sort of covered the period from Judas Priest's third album, which would be their first on, would it be on CBS? It was sort of after they'd left Gull. So it didn't feature the first 2 the first 2 albums which are on Gull, but it would have been I think Sin After Sin onwards, up to whatever the most recent release was, pre 2001 with Rob Halford in the band. So what would that have been? That would have been, without looking at the box, I'm assuming it would have been Painkiller. Yeah, Painkiller. So yeah, 12 CDs, and it was the one where they put in all the additional tracks on as well. Some made more sense than others in terms of their inclusion on certain albums. So yeah, fast forward a few years, they released this, which is a bit of a strange box set, and we'll see why in a moment. And I'm sure at the time, I can't remember if there was anything similar out that they just released, but I can remember when I was reading through the forums at the time and the news groups, which I used to frequent quite a bit back then, on the Judas Priest news groups, and I think there was a little bit of pushback about this product. I'm having trouble remembering where I picked it up. I don't know if it was at a record store somewhere. I may have even ordered it. I probably ordered it online actually. I can't remember how easy it was to get hold of. If I got it at a record store, there used to be, I don't know if it's still going, there used to be a pretty good rock and metal store in Rye on the coast in the UK, and I used to go down there. It's a bit of a drive, even though I sort of lived in the south of England, but it was always worth going down. Yeah, the cool thing I liked about this is that had quite an interesting set of inclusions, and maybe it'll be easy to look at the CDs and see what's on those. But you get this nice sort of overview, I suppose, of the CDs. So there's multiple CDs in here, but they're in this quite thin, sort of, what do you call them, like slip cases. So 4, and then there's some nice photos in here from their various points in their career. I do have a couple of sort of Judas Priest, I don't know really if you call them biography. One's a little bit more, well, it's a biography, but it's got lots of really cool photos in it. And I've got a later one. I think it's called Heavy Duty. And then I think you've seen I've got a few like tour booklets. But there's a number of, the reason why I bring it up is there's a number of photos in here that I've sort of seen before, and bear in mind again this came out around 2004. Now there's the Turbo era. Yeah. And Resurrection, and oh yeah, so we'll have a look. There's Owens. There's the discography timeline. So it should give us some idea of what could potentially be included in this So it's obviously biased to some albums more than it is others. Yeah, I remember this coming out. So this was released, wasn't it, after Painkiller? But it was released around the time, or just after Rob Halford had left. And where is it? Yeah, 92. That comes out in 93. And I remember there was a really good video I had on VHS to go with that. Yeah, companion documentary, Metalworks 73 to 93. That was it. Ripper Owens, Through Demolition. Oh yeah, and then so it's up to the 2003. Yeah, when they reunite. So let's just have a quick look through. I'm trying to think how many times I've seen Judas Priest now. Probably 3. Once in 81 for the tour that supported Point of Entry. And then I saw them with Ripper Owens fronting them in sometime around the 2000s, like the early 2000s. Same time I actually saw Rob Halford when he was solo as Halford. And he had a really excellent band then. I went to see Halford live in London at the London Astoria. Or the LA2, one of the two, because the venues were in the same block. And I saw Halford there, and also saw Judas Priest with, like I say, Ripper Owens fronting. And then sometime in the 2010s when they played Halifax with, Rob Halford had been back in the band for quite a while by then. I saw them again. Okay, so the first disc has Never Satisfied, Deceiver, Tyrant, Victim of Changes live, Diamonds and Rust live, Starbreaker live, first time on CD, Sinner, Let Us Pray, Call for the Priest, Distant Aggressor, Exciter. Oh, first time on CD, I see it. Beyond the Realms of Death, but by You Better Than Me, Invader, Stained Class, Green Manalishi with a 2-pronged crown, but the live one. Because it's interesting, because depending on whether you buy what version of the Killing Machine album you get, the UK one doesn't have, I think that's the right album. Have I got that right? Yeah, I think that's the one that doesn't have the studio version of Green Manalishi, but it is on the US release. And then the live Unleashed in the East has a Green Manalishi on it. Yeah, I'd have to go back through the booklet. It would clearly says in the booklet, when these were recorded. Skinny Machine, Evening Star, Take on the World, Delivering the Goods, Evil Fantasies, Hellbent for Leather. So it's quite a number there off of Killing Machine. Breaking the Law live, Living After Midnight, Rapid Fire, Metal Gods, Grind Alive, The Rage. So those are all from around the period of British Steel. So you'll probably see some of the track selection is sort of fairly biased from certain albums. It's interesting they managed to get the earlier stuff on here, because as I think I've mentioned, this period would have been, they were on Gull initially. So, and I'm not sure, again, I'd have to look on the timeline to find out exactly when these versions were recorded. Whether they were from that actual period or whether they're from later recordings. Where do we get to? Heading Out on the Highway, Hot Rocking, Troubleshooter, Solar Angels, Desert Plains. So those would be from Point of Entry. the Hellion, Screaming for Vengeance. That would be from Screaming for Vengeance. Riding on the Wind, Bloodstone, yep. You've got another thing coming, Devil's Child. Free Will Burning, Jawbreaker, The Sentinel, Love Bites, the live version, Eat Me Alive, Some Heads Are Gonna Roll, Hard Rock, Hard Ride Free. So those would all be from Defenders of the Faith, I suppose. Then we've got around what period of Turbo. You can see a number of things here. Heart of a Lion, previously unreleased demo. Ram It Down, Heavy Metal, Come and Get It, Blood Red Skies, there's Painkiller, Between the Hammer and the Anvil, Touch of Evil, Metal Meltdown, Nightcrawler, All Guns Blazing. So again, quite a big section there from Painkiller. Some of these have almost got like half the album on them. And Jugulator, Bloodstained, Machine Man was off of Demolition, wasn't it? I think. God, my memory's not doing too bad here. And then this one, oh, here we go, recorded December the 12th, so this would be the DVD. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. So yeah, the fifth disc is the DVD. Yeah, Coliseum Memphis, Screaming for Vengeance tour. Originally released as Judas Priest Live. That's right, yeah, they repackaged that. So rather quirky collection. Yeah, and it's interesting in that it does cover the Ripper Owens era and the earlier albums as well, although it would be nice to see a few more tracks off. I do particularly enjoy Sad Wings of Destiny. I think it is definitely my favourite Judas Priest album. So there we have it. Hopefully you enjoyed that look through this interesting artefact. And as you can see there, the studs on there have gone a little rusty. Thanks once again for watching. Bye for now, and I will catch you in a future video.